This is Dan Schneider. On this Dan Schneider video interview, I will be speaking of the multiverse with Lukasz Glinka, and the conversation will begin in a moment. I am speaking of the multiverse with Lukasz Glinka. He works in Europe. He is an engineer. He has studied physics. He's written a number of books about it. But before we get into his books and his ideas on the multiverse, I'd just like to give him 2 or 3 minutes to talk about who he is, where he's come from, and what got him interested in the subject. So, Lukasz, thanks for joining me. If you could give a little bit of background about yourself and your life.
Oh, yes, I can develop your question. So, my name is Lukasz Glinka. I was born in Poland, in communist Poland, in 1984. And I completed my primary and secondary education in Poland in the time of the transformation. So I am from the generation of transformation. I have no clearly defined ideological background because the times of my youth were very evolutionary, I can say, and I am not a patriot as defined by the current government of Poland. So I am not 100% loyal, 100% dedicated, and 100% rightist. I am a free mind, I can say. So my life showed that I am a free mind. 2 years ago, 10 years ago exactly, I migrated to Russia. When Poland and Russia were in slightly tense climate like today and so, I migrated to Russia and I started my work as a researcher in theoretical physics in some international institute of nuclear research in Dubna, close to Moscow, not so far from Moscow. After 2 years, my contract expired, and but I had at this time some publications, papers, few articles, manuscripts from archive database of American science, and I did not have any choice than continue research. So I migrated to India by some invitation, some connection which I got during my work in Russia. After a few months in India, I returned to Europe. Then I came back to Russia once again, and I completed my education, higher education in physics at a university in Moscow. At this time, Russia was different, I can say, than today. It was more open-minded. International business, international students were present in Moscow, were present in all Russia. There was not sanction, anti-Russian sanctions, and repeating sanctions. So the time was okay for me. I completed this education very quickly in one semester because I had other background, educational background from other universities from Poland and from this institute in Dubna also. So there was not a problem. After completion of my diploma, Bachelor of Sciences, not engineering degree, but scientific degree, purely scientific decided to form my ideas as a book, my first book. And as the result, I generated the book which is titled Ethereal Multiverse. This is
Yeah.
book, maybe you know. So this is almost 1,000 pages, like this. But this is, in fact, this is only collection of these results for 6 years, I think, from Dubna to diploma, I think, like this maybe. And this book is about my idea for multiverse hypothesis, realization of multiverse hypothesis. Multiverse hypothesis is generally regarded as the philosophical background for modern science, but the source of this idea is not science; it is psychology. It started from Epicurus school of philosophy, which is associated with hedonism, for example, with some very bad philosophy, I can say, with sexual orgies, for example, with sins, because this philosophy is not Catholic. So in the European, in the Western world interpretation, multiverse is in fact against Roman Catholic Church, against Christianity. This is like anti-Christian philosophy. It is more related, for example, to Islam, more related to Hindu philosophy. So to some polytheism, not monotheist religion. However, in modern science, there are people who are already oriented onto non-Christian directions, I can say, non-Jewish directions also. In general, non-Abrahamic directions, philosophical directions in science. Because as you know, all science of the 20th century, this science of Nobel Prize, it was dominated first by Christians and then by Jews. Very few people were Muslims and very few people were Hindu. For example, the best known example of Muslim is Abdus Salam. The best known example of Hindu is Tagore and Rama. From physics, Rama; from literature, Tagore. So the direction, the Eastern, I can say, Eastern philosophy was not popular as the developmental philosophical background of the 20th century science.
Mm-hmm.
But one man, exactly one man, decided to go beyond this background, this Abrahamic background. It was Albert Einstein, of course. And he started to make the reform of his own mind, his own religious, cultural background, which was purely European, dominated by Abrahamic vision of the world and Abrahamic vision of science. We know from history that Einstein was persecuted by Nazis, also by Soviets. Lenin, for fact, only for own defense, they fit to defend Einstein by some party, communist party regime. So Einstein, what did in fact Einstein? First of all, Einstein showed us that there is a rational concept of ether, which is in his theory, or theory of relativity, this is space-time. Space-time is Einstein's ether. What is ether? Ether is the old conception that related every and each physical phenomenon, chemical process, biology, into one unified system of reasoning. Every phenomenon was linked each other by some irrational reason. It was the irrational reason was collectively named ether. So it means that if I am sitting here, I can direct physical phenomena on Pluto, for example. It means ether. In simple words, ether is old theory. It started from different schools of reasoning than Epicurus. It started from Aristotle, I think, as I remember. But in general, this background is the ancient Greek philosophy, what is named today, of course.
Well, Lukasz, let me just jump in here. Let's talk specifically about your book and what is your particular take on what a multiverse could or is, because most people who have seen videos or read books on the multiverse, they think of the multiverse as either universes existing beyond the horizon of the Big Bang, what we can the observable universe. Or people think of the double slit experiment where light could be either a particle or a wave function, and that somehow that could split into two universes. Is your idea of a multiverse based on either of those things? And if not, what is your ethereal multiverse consist of, and how is it formed?
Okay, so first of all, in my formulation of the multiverse hypothesis, this is ethereal multiverse. So this is not simply a psychological idea or simply many universes, but these are many universes created in space-time, I can say, in Einstein's version of ether. So this is linkage, this is connection of ether idea by Einstein. I can say that in relativity, in special relativity, ether is stationary, non-movable, etc. But in general relativity, ether is dynamical. So it can, because there is dynamical space-time, the geometry can change. For example, topology also is now considered as change. Topology means shape. Geometry means, for example, curvature of space-time. So I have linked ether, the concept of ether, to the concept of multiverse, of many universes, of many worlds, interpretation of quantum mechanics in particular. As you surely know, many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics started in the United States from the Hugh Everett III works and his teacher or collaborator Brice Seligman David, and his colleague and teacher John Archibald Wheeler, who was a close friend to Einstein, and informal student, in fact, and collaborator of Niels Bohr in nuclear fission, I think, nuclear physics in general. He directed Manhattan Project, as for example. So the background, the scientific background is very strong for this realization of multiverse hypothesis, because there are already some published results, theoretical results, which can be joined into one unique theoretical background of physics.
Okay, so let me just so I'm clear and that anyone watching is clear, your idea of the ethereal multiverse has more in common with the many worlds interpretation, the quantum mechanical thing, that if you were walking down a street, you could go left or right, and if you did, the cosmos would split into two separate universes, the one where Lukasz went left and went right. Am I correct then?
By idea, this is many words interpretation, but only by idea. I have not advanced many words interpretation exactly. So this is by idea only.
Okay, but so if you can lay out what is the ethereal multiverse that you espouse, is that somehow different than the other multiverses other people have talked about? And if so, how is it different?
Yes, generally people say about multiverse hypothesis, like for inflationary cosmology, like for string theory. This all is non-physical presently. Inflation is only an idea which explains, for example, the problem of magnetic monopole. But in fact, the contribution from inflationary cosmology is zero, because it does not explain the universe. It is only some model. And so strings, the problem with strings is very classical. This is theory which is overloaded by excellent mathematics. But there is practically zero of physical results which could be verified by experiment, by observation, by comparison with any empirical data. And my approach is phenomenological. So I use some theoretical ideas which are, in my opinion, which are okay. I employ them to reshape some phenomenological results. It means that these results, the results of my theory, could be verified empirically.
So they would be falsifiable.
And so,
yeah.
And so, but anyway, these results could be verified. For string theory, for inflationary cosmology, there is no such a possibility to verify the theoretical results.
So
this is the problem.
Yeah. So let me ask you then. Give me an example of how you could falsify your idea of the ethereal multiverse. Give me just say one example that if we make an observation, observation A, that can either be shown as true or false. Therefore, your theory has scientific basis. Because as far as I know, as a layman, science has to be falsifiable. You just can't say anything. It has to be able to be proved to be false if possible. So how is your ethereal multiverse, how could someone prove you were wrong, say?
I don't know really how. I can say you, for example, my approach generated the one interesting result: temperature of universe. In fact, temperature of universe is not approachable was not approachable by rational calculation. rational mathematics. In fact, I generated the result for few results. In fact, one of them is comparable to experiment and fits cosmic background radiation temperature. For example, and I generated this result by using of many particle physics. It means many particle quantum physics. It means I formalized multiverse as many particles, where particle is universe. Every particle is a universe. So this is the new thing. If I have made some formalization of the multiverse hypothesis, then I should obtain some results. The problem is how to fit these results with experimental data. And I can say that my formalist predicts good agreement with CMB temperature, for example, and generally the good agreement for thermal development of universe. In my formalist, other formalists, especially multiverse formalists, don't make this.
Okay.
They are unable to generate any physics, any real physics. They are still on the consideration of abstract axioms, abstract proposals, what multiverse can be.
Okay, let's end this first segment here, since we've talked about the ideas of the multiverse. I want to, in the next segment, talk a little bit about your ideas of how the universe or the multiverse would have formed, and we'll do that in a moment. As we are recording here in the year 2016, I'm speaking with Lukasz Glinka. He has a book called Ethereal Multiverse, and the current dominant idea of how the universe came into being is called the Big Bang Theory, that all of time, space, matter was compacted into one infinitely small speck that somehow just exploded about 13.8 billion years ago, according to current theory. Lukasz, do you buy that? Do you think that that is how the universe came into being, or do you see the multiverse as having always been around in some form or another? What is your explanation for how the universe or the multiverse got started?
Well, I have the idea which is similar to Big Bang, which is a realization, but older realization of the Big Bang idea. Of course, the reason why is very simple, because my model, my ethereal multiverse, is based on quantum physics. In quantum physics, you have always the problem of the initial data, of the initial process which generated all, which generated particles, which generated heat, which generated anything. Exactly. This is the problem of quantum physics, that especially in my variant of realism, this is quantum field theory. In quantum field theory, there is very old problem, the problem of vacuum. Vacuum is like ether, we can say, because in classical physics, in relativity and electromagnetism, vacuum is the medium where light goes, where light travels. So this is the realization of luminiferous ether by Maxwell, James Clerk Maxwell, et al. This model was reduced by Maxwell, in fact, but Maxwell thought that it exists, and Einstein also by some time thought that it exists. But Einstein generally the result of some very special interpretation of quantum mechanics applied onto the field of cosmology. But this is only context. It means that Hawking et al. Applied some method which is confirmed for other theory to their considerations. It can be either false or true, but nobody can confirm. They can verify, is it really false or true? Because there are experimental problems. There are, we say, people say generally some phrase that this is technological barrier. So, but this is, in fact, is a fiction term. Because in simple way, I can say that there is no any chance to verify abstract results of quantum cosmology done by Stephen Hawking. Of course, some of these ideas are very interesting, and of course, the interpretation of quantum mechanics, which he applies, is okay, but only for quantum mechanics. And other quantum theories formulated in this interpretation can be either wrong or true. There is no any certainty that this is 100% true or 100% false. This interpretation is named Feynman path integral. It is named after Richard Feynman, who received the Nobel Prize in Physics for quantum electrodynamics with his colleagues Julian Schwinger and Shinichiro Tomonaga. So, Feynman path integrals are okay for quantum mechanics, and partially also are okay for quantum field theory. But already in quantum field theory there is a problem of ghost. This is called Faddeev-Popov ghost after two Russians who say tried to solve this problem. But today we don't really know. Are ghosts existent particles or no, or fields? Anyway, are they physical or no? People generally believe that they are not physical, because this is only method, technical mathematical method, and nothing more. So the same problem arises for quantum cosmology, because in quantum cosmology known by Hawking is some analog of quantum mechanics. This is called Wheeler-Dewitt equation or quantum geometrodynamics. The problem of quantum geometrodynamics is that they have functional realization of quantum mechanics, functional picture, I can say, functional differential equation. It means that things are generally not clear defined. That things can be interpreted in many ways, and this is in itself multiverse hypothesis also, because many ways, because ambiguity, because many possibilities is just a realization of multiverse hypothesis.
So you don't have any then particular, you're not, say, in favor of the Big Bang or against it. You allow that it could have happened that way in our cosmos then, or is your ethereal multiverse eternal? It's always been, it always will be in one form or another. I just want to give people listening just a little bit of something to hold on to. Do you believe in an all eternal multiverse that's always been and always will be?
Yes, exactly. I cannot say on Big Bang role in the initial moment of universe. I don't know the reply for your question on the beginning of the universe, because in physics we can observe only the world which exists now, at the moment.
Yeah.
Not which existed million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is the problem.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a couple of questions for people, because most people are not going to have studied as much as you've done. So I want to ask a few questions that are a little bit easier for people to grasp onto. When people talk about multiverses, or people read about it, or they see a documentary on television or online, you know, oftentimes they'll say in some ideas of a multiverse that there are many versions of you. There'd be many versions of Lukasz Glinka talking to Dan, many versions of Dan Schneider. Do you, you've talked about the many worlds interpretation. In your idea of the multiverse, do you accept that there could be infinite numbers of Lukasz Glinkas?
Possibly there are, but this is only an abstract conception. This is only some philosophical background. In general, there is exactly one person like I and exactly one person like you. So we live in classical world, which is only one. But on the quantum level, on the generalized microscopic level, there can be more. Because, for example, every man is constructed by many cells. Every cell can be considered like a universe. Every drop of blood is a universe.
Yeah.
So we are all constructed from many universes in some interpretation, philosophical interpretation. But these are universes for a human, for example, for an animal, for a being in our classical universe.
Another thing that a lot of people, when they hear or read about the multiverse, there's Erwin Schrödinger's famous idea of the cat in the box. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize that Schrödinger was sort of making fun of the idea. You had mentioned the difference between the classical universe, things at our level of existence, and the quantum level of existence. And on the quantum level, even if, let's say, if you look at the double slit experiment, that light could be either a wave or a particle or both at one time, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you put a cat in the box, like Schrödinger suggested, and there's a vial of poison that will either be released if, I think it's if an electron decays or something like that, that was his sort of way of saying how absurd it is to try to take things from a quantum level and lift them up to our level as if they could be consonant. Do you think that that's sometimes misinterpreted by scientists and science writers? Because as far as I know, Schrödinger was using the example of the cat to show the absurdity of trying to use things found on the quantum level on our level of existence. So do you think that that's often something that's misinterpreted when people talk about physics or the multiverse, that they mix up things from the quantum level to the classical level?
Yes, this is possible because we don't understand. Nobody presently understands what is the micro level, what is the border between the classical world and quantum world. Where are the limits of quantum mechanics? We have the scales which are named nano.
Yeah.
Scales, which are, nobody knows what is it. This is quantum classical quantum, semi-classical, semi-quantum, half quantum, and anything which is neither classical nor quantum. So the problem is that the limits of theory, but only formal limits, are unclearly defined. Formal limits means that the term formal limit means that pure technical level, mathematical level of determination what is quantum and what is classical.
Yeah. Let me ask about some other things that, and get your opinion on them. A lot of people also think that in our cosmos or the multiverse, they talk about black holes, perhaps that a black hole, if such a thing exists, and I know there's actually some debate nowadays of whether a black hole, even Stephen Hawking has sort of stepped backwards from some of his earlier claims about black holes. Do you think that if black holes do exist in the universe, that they could be portals somehow to other parts of the multiverse if it exists, and if so, do you find yourself in agreement with the ideas that somehow you could travel through time and/or space to other parts of the multiverse?
Theoretically, I should say that I don't believe black holes.
No.
Because black hole is a model, mathematical model, solution to Einstein's field equation. Solution to a mathematical equation is not a physical being. This is only the model for reality. It means that some observations, some experiments can confirm that this model is good, model is proper, is true, but other experiments, and you can always find experiments, such experiments, which break the idea of the model. For example, for a black hole, you can explain a perihelion motion of Mercury, like Einstein, by using a Schwarzschild black hole solution to Einstein's field equation. But you can explain the same result, the same effect, the same phenomenon by making use of other ideas. So there is multiverse of possibilities to explain one phenomenon. For example, perihelion motion of Mercury.
Faster than light travel is also something in the classical cosmos that we don't think exists. And now there's the idea of dark matter and dark energy, that somehow dark energy is pushing matter in our observable universe over the horizon, so that, say, billions of years from now, the known universe may seem a lot darker and a lot smaller. You had mentioned the many worlds interpretation of the multiverse. In your idea of the multiverse, is there also sort of a cosmic horizon that we can't yet see past because it would take too long for light to travel from? Is the cosmos, at least our universe within the multiverse? Do you think that there are limits that we'll never be able to travel to, that are too far, and that as the universe seemingly is expanding, will become too far? Or do you think that the universe maybe is not expanding or may one day contract?
Maybe there is the model for maybe. Yes, you are true. Maybe, perhaps, possibly, could be, would be. This is modality. This is multiverse. This is called modal logic. Yes, everything is possible, but the problem is the level of verification, empirical verification of theoretical results, mathematical solutions. The verification is technically difficult by many aspects. One aspect is simply technological barrier, the so-called technological barrier, which means that we have no good device, we have no good machine to verify whether mathematics is good or no for physics. Other aspects is money, for example, financial resources for research work. This is also very limited. For example, today the real money is in academia. It means that professors, doctors, research, academic researchers, institutional researchers with state affiliation are generally less discriminated than others in their research, in presentation of research, in journals, in books, articles, in many standard forms. For example, usual independent researcher cannot present lectures to students. It means that the growth of interest is less for independent researchers, but they often have interesting ideas. Why not? So today there are created already open access journals for independent researchers especially, who can present their ideas, their theories, models, theorems, and other theoretic to a wide public, wide audience for discussion. This is the problem of modern science, modern research in general, not only science. Because science is generally considered like academia, like academic dictatorship. So today, the problem is partially solved, but still Nobel Prize goes to academia, not for two independent researchers. So, but it changed. World evolved in many aspects. Situation in Europe is different now than 4 years ago. Situation in the United States is under change, as I know. Situation in Russia is completely different. Situation in China is different. So maybe situation in research will be also different, and maybe science will not already the field of academic work.
You had mentioned earlier that in the multiverse, or your idea of the multiverse as well, that all things might be possible. As far as we know, in our cosmos, there are 4 basic forces: gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and the weak nuclear forces. So do you believe that in various other portions of the multiverse, that that there could be different forces that operate, that, for example, time could run backwards, that there might not be gravity in a portion of the multiverse, that maybe electromagnetism might operate in a different way, or there could be, 12 forces that govern other parts of the multiverse. Is that a possibility that you think it could be?
It could be, of course. It could be. Why not? If you don't know how to say whether something could be or not, you should first ask why not.
Let me just ask then this question, and I guess we'll end this segment on this. What do you see your own research say in the next 5 or 10 years being focusing on? Will you be focusing on the multiverse still, or will you? What is the what are you currently working on? What is I guess maybe the biggest problem that you want to resolve in your own work?
Well, my research is not focused on multiverse in general. I have written 4 books, and every about psychology, Jungian school of analytical psychology. This is mix of humanities, analysis of politics, foreign relations, international affairs, in Russia, in USA, in Poland, the European Union, in many aspects. For example, under my book is about emotion.
Mm-hmm.
It is about Freudian school of psychoanalysis, about Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, school of existentialist philosophy, for example, about Hegel, about other aspects of philosophy. Other book is about analytic number theory. It is about pure mathematics, computational mathematics also in some part, basic of informatics, of computer science also. So my research is multiply defined. I am living in my multiply connected space, not in Euclidean space by my views. So it can evolve. I have research is not only and unique my professional work. Sometimes, presently, I am editor-in-chief for a journal. I am editorial board member and peer reviewer for more than 50 journals, other journals. These journals are in sciences, in humanities, in art, in literature, in many things, not science, not research only. For example, sometimes I work as a translator.
Uh-huh.
I know 3 languages fluently. I learn 2 other languages. So this is not a problem to me. Research is the field which depends on actual context. This is sometimes defined by politics also, because money dedicated to research depends on Minister of Science or Minister of Education. So people sometimes cannot receive good money for their work. So what is the sense to continue research if it is not a well-paid job, for example? And in my life also this problem exists. So I don't consider myself like a strictly defined researcher.
Yeah. You had, when you held up those other books, you have on emotions, the unconscious, number theory, and the multiverse. What are the 1 or 2 things that you think link up all of those disciplines? Is there an underlying thing that connects all of them in your mind?
Multiverse is multiverse. This is my general idea. I can say psychological background also of mine. So possibilities are the reality. I don't consider one selected concrete possibility as the world of mine. I consider many possibilities as the world of mine. So many things are possible, and I don't know what will be tomorrow. I don't know what will be in next month. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's end this segment here. In a final segment, I'll just give you a chance to wrap up any thoughts on the multiverse and what you'll be working on next, and we'll do that in a moment. I spent the last hour speaking with Lukasz Glinka, a physicist, about his ideas about the multiverse. He has a book called Ethereal Multiverse, and I'll link to it below this video. Let me just ask you, you have spoken that you've written 4 other books, all on diverse topics. What is the next book you're going to be writing about? And let's just end with your final thoughts on the multiverse. So what's the next book that you are going to write on?
My program, yes, my project.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Right now I am in communication with some psychologist from United States. She would like to write a book with me. I invited her because she wrote an article on my Multiverse book, and I have invited her to collaboration. So we are trying to arrange some constructive basis for this book. Maybe this will be on the intersections between science and religion. Maybe no. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I will dedicate my time for artistic expression, like translation between different languages. I don't know what will be the next role of my life, in my life.
Do you prefer doing translations on novels or poems, or do you prefer translating science or philosophical books?
I like literature in translation.
Okay. Well, let me ask the final question then, so we'll sum up your views on the multiverse. Do you think that, say, 10, 20 years from now, there may be something that you'll find out, or someone may make a discovery that you'll go back and you'll change your ideas on what the multiverse is? And what do you think is maybe the most promising current research into the multiverse being done by anyone?
Okay, have you heard about the most recent discoveries of the Philippine scientists on the reduced speed of light?
I think I know a little bit what you're talking about. Maybe just if you could explain.
This is very recent information. I read about this in some Polish media, but I don't know whether this is true or no, and what is the level of reliability of this result. However, I can say that one of my most recent research, it was presented in Archive by database, is about reduced speed of light. For example, in vacuum, reduced in vacuum, it means that the speed of light is not constant in vacuum like in Einstein's special relativity. So, for example, this result of the Asian scientists, from comparatively poor country, Philippines, is very prospective in my opinion. It could agree with my theoretical arguments which I presented in the last year. There is many possibilities. If I will have a really interesting proposal of research in physics, I consider this in physics, of course, or mathematics, but physics is more important in my opinion. If I will have, maybe I will decide. But my life changed really quickly, and I am not sure on the next day, and on the next location also, physical location, geographical location.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for taking time to speak about it, and good luck with your books and your future projects. Anyone who has enjoyed listening to Lukasz speak, as I said, I will have a link below to Ethereal Universe below this video. So again, thank you for your time, Lukasz.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you for your interest in my results, in my theories, in my arguments, and I hope also for your good future.
Okay, thank you.